On behalf of FICCI I welcome you to the second edition of FICCI and Cambridge University Press webinar series around schools post-lockdown, the what, why, and how of this entire situation. So the what, the how, and why of schools post-lockdown will get discussed today. It is my absolute honor to be amongst speakers who would be addressing you today. And we are also hoping we would have an opportunity to take some of your questions to them as well. We have Dr. Abdullah Rashid Ahmed, Minister of State for Education from Republic of Maldives. Welcome to this session, sir. We have Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, Director Academics, CBSE. I welcome you to the session, sir. We have Dr. Bijoy K. Sahu, Chairman, East Zone FICCI, Chairman, Sai International School, Bhubaneswar, and Advisor, Odisha Adarsh Vidyalaya Sangathan, in the rank of Minister of State, Government of Odisha. Sir, we welcome you to this session. We also welcome Lieutenant General S.H. Kulkarni, Member FICCI and Director, Mayo College Ajmer. Sir, absolute honor to be in your company. And Ms. Preeti Hingorani, Vice President, Brand and Public Relations for Cambridge University Press. Preeti, also thank you very much right now for putting this entire thought together. This session will be moderated by Mr. Raga Podar, who's the chairman of West Zone from FICCI and is also the chairman of Podar Group of Schools.
Our next speaker is the chairman of the Sai Group of Schools. He's also the advisor to the government of Odisha with a mission to establish 314 CBSE English medium schools, one in each block of Odisha. I must also say here that I have in Mumbai stolen the cyclone from his side of the country to our side of the country. Dr. Bijaya Sahu. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. Sir, one of the biggest concerns about virtual classes and about these virtual lessons that a lot of schools are having is that it increases inequality, people say, between those who are able to access these virtual classes and those who don't have access to it. Now, we know that a lot of state governments have done a cavalier job and put classes on TV, like Dr. Rashid also said. So what do you think? What else can we do to ensure more equity in the different sections of society, where even those in remote areas can not have learning loss beyond a limit? So what's your take on that?
Thank you, Raghav, and namaskar to all our viewers. That's how we greet from the eastern part of India, and those who are from overseas. The western side is namaste and the eastern side is namaskar. That's the only difference, but meaning is the same. Thankfully, this year, the cyclone has moved to west, but I hope all of you are safe, healthy, and I pray that all of us in India and all the viewers who are listening to us or seeing us are all safe and healthy. And I also pray for all of them. Thank you, Raga, Preeti, and Dr. Aruna for setting the context of today's this webinar. And also, I am very fortunate to be amongst the panelists like Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, Dr. Abdullah, and General Kulkarni. The topic is very, very eminent today for schools post-lockdown, what, why, and now. So let me, answer that in your question to the last. But I will like to tell that this COVID pandemic has disrupted, every single life. I'll say it has also impacted not only the life but also plants and every creation of, nature. This disruption probably is going to give us a new normal. That's what is the buzzword. And I was Googling out and I saw that the highest number of, clicks probably as on date is COVID-19. And next is new normal. So everybody is trying to understand what's this new normal. So I'd like to little elaborate on this new normal. While this pandemic has brought disruption everywhere and people are scared and people are fearing for life, but I see at the end of the tunnel a huge opportunity. And I'll prove what I am trying to tell, because I am very upbeat about it. World is not going to end. Education is going to be there, and education will come back much better much wider, much larger, and much deeper. So my small presentation that I'm going to make will be divided into the impact, then short term, immediate term, what we are going to do, and then long term, the four stakeholders, that the students, the parents, the teachers, and the management. So how this disruption is going to be overcome, and we are going to see, as I said, a new normal. And at the end, I'll show something which will be the new age schools, how it will look like. So let me, share a small presentation. Is it visible? Yeah, great. So the impact of lockdown. The first let me take a minute on the impact of the immediate impact of this lockdown. If I start, is starting with the engagement, that the disruption of the regular engagement of our learners. I need not explain this. I'll just touch upon, because of the paucity of time, because I've been given about seven minutes. I'll try to touch upon whatever I am able to speak in this limited time, but this presentation will speak for itself. The syllabus completion is again, one of the most important probably impact. Assessments, now everybody is concerned about the assessment, the way the schools were being run. The health is another issue where, that's a concern for not only the school, but also the parents and the government. If we go to the teacher capacity building, teachers are not yet adapted to this new mode of online education and teaching. The mode of working from home for the teachers is absolutely new concept. Then the socio-economic development, the screen time of the children, the peer-to-peer interaction, the social skills, all this is absolutely new and is creating a huge impact. The last but not the least, but most important for the entire fraternity, a fee collection, which is going to impact the existence and the the running of the normal schools. This is, I tried to, so how, when the schools open up, how the schools are going to look like, with say 30% of the students coming, the social distancing to be kept, how if the children are sitting, there can be a, how the, practices have been in the foreign countries, how you have to probably take the temperature, how you will allow children to come into the school after due checking. But getting this done in the larger schools or the high-end schools probably is practical, but I do not know how this can be implemented in many schools of our country. Now, the short-term measures that immediately we need to do is, I've tried to collect that and present in just 8 points. I know there are many, but I feel these are the immediate measures that's to be taken now, as well as when the schools are opening up. Upgrade school and technology infrastructure that each one of us has to do. Define safety, hygiene, and behavioral protocols. Train all staff on COVID-related and regulations. Digitize all admin work and the fees payment. Educate parents and students skills for survival on the pandemic safely. Restructure class schedules, curriculum, including digitization of the assessment process. Set up counseling sessions for the students as staff, as well as the parents, and stress management and anxiety management, and collaborate with health workers and help in contacting and tracing of COVID. Now, I have tried to, these short-term measures, I have tried to put it in 3 segments. One is the government regulations and the likely model which will come. Health and safety guidelines each have to do with a deep dive, and the infrastructure guidelines that may follow when we are opening up schools. There may be a situation where it is a 30% or a 50% students being allowed. Some students may come, parents may not allow children to come to the school. or they may come for a day or two, or in a week or in a month. Maybe the period, the 45 minutes period may be reduced to 30 minutes. The focus of the students and the special needs students, is to be seen. Health and safety guidelines, the cleanliness, thermal screening, hand washing, sanitizing, food and safety, collaboration with health officials, organizing sanitation and training sessions, these are going to be the futuristic guidelines. Infrastructure guidelines, improving ventilation, reduce human touch, labeling and creating safety, probably notices everywhere, safety zones, equipping a school with robust, well-equipped infirmary, multiple exits, classroom with limited capacity, developing hybrid models of learning. These, I feel, are the short-term measures which can make or enable our schools probably to start. Now, let me come to the major thing, which is long-term and which is positive side. Let me start with the student side on the learnings and how to convert this pandemic, COVID-19, to an opportunity. On the student side, I look at hybrid model to emerge out of this. There will be a combination of face-to-face learning with online learning, and there will be a flexibility of children learning process. There will be flipped classrooms, and significance of the flipped classroom will move from textbook to actual physical implementation by the children. The online and personalized assessments, both objective as well as subjective assessments, need to be done both as the physical mode is happening as well as in online, and we have to train our people on that. The education, as I was listening to some of my earlier speakers, particularly Dr. Inamuel, that from a teacher-led education, it will drive to a student-driven education. When this teacher-centric education will move to a student-centric education, and that is going to be the future of the school, K-12 schooling system. These are some of the points I thought are relevant as far as the first stakeholder of the school system. Those are the students. The next stakeholder are our teachers, who are actual drivers. And for them, probably we need to retrain all our teachers into the use of technology and into the teaching learning process inside the classroom and in the online education. This is absolutely a new game. There need to be probably more of one-to-one mentorship between the teacher and the child, and this has to move smoothly into this newer mode of learning. Teachers have to also retrain themselves, as I said, in the new age assessment style, designing new tools for assessment, both online as well as offline, and accurately try to measure the learning gaps and try to give the remedial. There need to be probably by the teachers customized interventions for not a single size fit all approach as it's going on in the classroom today, but a learning based gap approach, child centric, and trying to cope up with that newness. So this is the second stakeholder, that's the teachers. Now comes a very important stakeholder into the entire system, is again parents. Till date, parents' involvement in the school was minimal. And I always tell that the involvement of parent is inversely proportional with the age of the child. The parents are involved more rigorously with the school when the child is up to say class 3, 4, from the pre-primary to primary level. And slowly as the child grows, the parental involvement reduces. But that will not happen now. And if that happens, learning will be difficult. Training of the parents will be paramount now, not only in the technology, because parents are going to be supervisors. They will take the role of the teacher inside the classroom to the role of the parents in their houses. Because when the teacher is teaching online or trying to give a combination of face-to-face learning and online learning, there the supervision has to be done by the parents. So we need to train our parents and get greater involvement of parents. Parents have to also track the progress of their children and communicate with the children. The last stakeholder is the management. Here, the management side, I find 5 very important changes that the management need to look at. One is the financial, looking at the costs, looking at the budget, looking at the technology cost that's going to be, looking at the health and safety cost that's going to be, and reframing their financial budget and implementing that. Human resource, call the team that can permanently work from home or retrain the human resource. The cost that's going to be on the technology, bringing is newer technology and intervention of technology into the education. Parent and student satisfaction index needs to be created, and management has to keep a deep dive into the parent and student satisfaction level. And the most important, the regulations are going to be very, very tough. And the management has to keep a tab, not only now on the regulations of the government, as far as the education, teaching, learning process is concerned. Now it is about health and life. So that is going to be much more stricter regulation and regulatory regime. How the future schools will look like, that's my last slide. I feel the future schools, apart from what we are running today, will have all these elements. And unless we have each of these elements in the future schools, the education will not be 360 degrees. So I'll not read everything because of the paucity of time, but all the elements that I have tried to collect is from that I saw in the last 2 to 3 months, seeing the best practices going on in many, many countries and also in our country, and trying to collect how the future schools will look like. So this gives an idea. And my last, COVID is not a challenge, but a new opportunity for school education in India. And with that positive note, I thank all of you for giving me the patient hearing and this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sahu. It's a wonderful presentation that covers all the aspects and all the different stakeholders, which is extremely important. We're getting a lot of questions of people who are asking if the presentation can be shared. So with your permission, if you allow, we will share it with the team later on.
Yeah, it can be shared. I've given to Samreen and it can be shared. I don't have.
Wonderful. So Samreen from FICCI will be sending it to all the people who are interested in listening to it. India is also thinking of opening maybe for the higher grades, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, maybe. Countries in Scandinavia like Norway and Denmark also use age as a metric, but they use the exact opposite belief. They think that a child in preschool will learn less than a child in higher secondary through online learning. So they are putting the preschoolers into schools first, into school buildings first. So what are your thoughts on using age as a metric? Is that a good metric? And if so, what age group do you think is good for children to rejoin the school buildings whenever school buildings can reopen after all the preparedness is done?
Yeah, thank you, Raghav. A very pertinent question. See, taking the example of the Scandinavian schools, as far as India is concerned, it's a very, very different situation because it's like comparing pond with ocean. See, as far as our country is concerned, 70% of the children are in the government school system and about 25-30% are in our public schools.
So till the next time we see you again, stay safe, plan ahead, replan, and then plan one more. People who plan have much lesser last minute to do when the actual action happens. And this time the action is with our kids. We need to plan the most we could have possibly planned. Looking forward to seeing you on 10th of June. A link has also been shared in the chat and would also come in through the email that we'll be sending you with recordings of this session and the PPT of Dr. Sahu. A lot of people have requested that, sir. So if you agree, we would send that PPT to our audience as well. And there are still a lot of questions that are unanswered questions. We try to take a lot of questions, but there are 168 questions that are unanswered. There is one opportunity still for you to be able to ask these questions. We can't promise this, but we are going to attempt this. If you go to our Facebook page and plant this question in the chat series of where we've gone live on this, along with my question is for this speaker. So if you give us your questions on our Facebook page, we would be able to possibly present it to our speakers. And if they have time, they can possibly answer it. So without further ado, it's been a long session, but I'm sure it's been a worthwhile session. Thank you very much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. You have a good rest of the day. Thank you. Jai Hind.